AITA, for ruining my best friend's wedding after exposing her affair. I honestly never thought I'd become the villain in someone else's wedding story, especially not hers. Mia had been my best friend for almost 11 years. We met in high school, survived terrible relationships together, became roommates in college, and spent years joking that we'd probably end up old and single together. So when she met Ethan, I was genuinely happy for her. Ethan was the kind of guy everyone instantly liked. He was calm, patient, successful without bragging about it, and completely obsessed with Mia. I'm talking about the kind of man who drove across town at midnight because she casually mentioned craving milkshakes. The kind of man who remembered every tiny detail about people's lives. Honestly, sometimes watching the way he treated her made me wonder if relationships like that were even real. When they got engaged, Mia cried in my apartment for almost an hour because she was so happy. She asked me to be her maid of honor before she even called her parents. I spent months helping her plan every detail of the wedding. I went dress shopping with her, spent entire weekends making decorations, and even used my own money a few times because she kept going over budget. I truly believed I was helping my best friend build the perfect future. That's why what happened next completely destroyed me. About 4 months before the wedding, Mia started acting different. At first, it was subtle. She became weirdly protective of her phone, started canceling plans randomly, and kept disappearing during group events to take work calls. One night we were having wine at her apartment while Ethan worked late, and she accidentally left her phone in the kitchen while showering. The screen lit up with a message that said, "Last night was insane. Miss you already." My stomach instantly dropped. I wish I could say I ignored it, but I didn't. Something in my gut already knew. A few seconds later, another message appeared, and this time it was a shirtless mirror picture from some guy saved under a fake female contact name. I remember literally feeling sick. When Mia came back into the room, I asked her directly who the messages were from. Instead of denying it, she just froze. Then she sat down and admitted she'd been sleeping with a coworker named Daniel for almost 3 months. I genuinely couldn't process what I was hearing. This woman was weeks away from marrying someone who worshipped her, and she was casually cheating like it was some temporary inconvenience. I asked her if she was planning to tell Ethan, and she immediately said no. She claimed the affair didn't mean anything, and that marriage would help her settle down. Hearing that honestly horrified me. I told her she couldn't seriously expect to marry someone under those circumstances, but instead of feeling guilty, she got defensive. She said all relationships were complicated and accused me of judging her because my own dating life sucked. Then she begged me not to tell anyone, especially Ethan, because it would ruin everything. The worst part? I agreed to stay quiet at first because I was shocked and didn't know what to do. But after that night, every wedding event started feeling fake. I watched Ethan smile while talking about their honeymoon, knowing he had absolutely no idea what was happening behind his back. I watched him spend thousands of dollars on a future built on lies. And meanwhile, Mia kept seeing Daniel like nothing was wrong. One night about 2 months before the wedding, Mia invited me out for drinks with some coworkers. Daniel was there. The second I saw them together, I understood this wasn't just some meaningless fling. The chemistry between them was obvious. They kept touching each other when nobody was looking, whispering privately, and disappearing together for long periods of time. At one point, I walked outside and literally saw them making out behind the restaurant while Ethan was at home assembling wedding invitations by himself. I completely lost respect for her in that moment. On the drive home, I told her she needed to tell Ethan immediately or I would. She started screaming at me, accusing me of trying to sabotage her happiness because I was jealous she was getting married first. That argument ended with her crying and saying if I exposed her, I would destroy not only her relationship, but her entire family because both sides had already spent enormous amounts of money on the wedding. Somehow she managed to make herself sound like the victim. For a while, I tried convincing myself maybe it wasn't my place to interfere. But then Ethan started calling me more often, asking for advice about surprise gifts for Mia and ideas for their honeymoon. Every conversation made me feel worse. He trusted both of us completely while one of us was betraying him and the other was helping hide it. The guilt started eating me alive. Then everything got even worse during the bachelorette trip to Miami. Mia invited 6 girls, including me, and the entire weekend became a disaster. She flirted openly with random men at clubs, disappeared for hours, and eventually invited Daniel to the hotel secretly. I found out because I walked into the suite at 2 a.m. and saw him sitting there shirtless drinking champagne while Mia laughed like this was all normal. I completely snapped. We got into a screaming match so loud that hotel security threatened to remove us. I told her she was acting like a completely different person and asked why she was even marrying Ethan if she clearly didn't love him. Her response genuinely shocked me. She admitted she loved the stability Ethan gave her but felt more alive with Daniel. She literally said Ethan was husband material, while Daniel was excitement. Hearing someone talk about another human being like they were choosing between appliances honestly disgusted me. The next morning, she apologized and begged me again not to ruin her life. Against my better judgment, I stayed quiet one last time because I kept hoping she'd come clean herself, but she never did. 2 weeks before the wedding, Ethan invited me to lunch because he wanted help planning a surprise dance for the reception. I sat across from him watching him smile while talking about how lucky he felt to be marrying Mia, and I realized I physically couldn't keep lying anymore. My hands were literally shaking. Finally, I asked him if he truly wanted to marry her. He laughed and said absolutely. Then I told him everything, every message, every lie, every time she snuck around with Daniel. I even showed him screenshots because by that point I knew he deserved proof. I will never forget the look on his face. It was like watching someone's entire world collapse in real time. He didn't yell or cry at first. He just stared silently at the table for almost a full minute before asking if anyone else knew. When I admitted I'd known for a while, his expression changed completely. He looked betrayed by both of us. Honestly, he had every right to. He thanked me quietly, paid the bill, and left. I sat in my car afterwards shaking because I knew I had just detonated a bomb that would destroy multiple lives. What I didn't expect was how fast everything would explode. That same night, Ethan confronted Mia. Apparently, the fight became so intense that neighbors called security in their apartment building. By morning, both families knew the wedding was postponed. Mia immediately figured out I told him. She called me over 30 times in a single night, leaving voicemails screaming that I ruined her future. Then her parents started contacting me saying the wedding deposits were non-refundable and that Ethan's family was demanding repayment for expenses already covered. Mutual friends got dragged into the chaos. Some people said I absolutely did the right thing, while others accused me of inserting myself into a relationship that wasn't my business. Social media turned into a complete disaster because guests started noticing wedding posts disappearing. But the worst part happened 3 days before the wedding date. Mia showed up outside my apartment hysterically crying. For a second, I thought she wanted to apologize. Instead, she begged me to call Ethan and tell him I exaggerated everything. She claimed it was just stress before marriage and promised she'd never cheat again. When I refused, she completely snapped. She screamed loud enough for neighbors to come outside and accused me of secretly wanting Ethan for myself. Then she threw the bouquet centerpiece I had spent hours making directly at my apartment door before storming off. After that, our friendship was over permanently. Months later, I heard through mutual friends that Ethan moved to another city and completely cut contact with Mia. Meanwhile, Mia's reputation took a massive hit because apparently Daniel never wanted a real relationship with her in the first place. Once the wedding collapsed, he disappeared almost immediately. Some people still think I should have stayed quiet because exposing the truth caused public humiliation, financial loss, and destroyed years of relationships between both families. But honestly, I keep imagining what would have happened if I stayed silent and let Ethan marry someone actively betraying him. Divorce would have happened eventually, except with kids, shared finances, and even more damage involved. Maybe I ruined a wedding, but I didn't ruin the relationship. Mia did that herself the moment she decided cheating was easier than honesty. Still, after everything that happened, I can't help wondering sometimes, was I the asshole? Like this video if you think the fiancé deserved to know the truth. Comment what you would have done in this situation. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more crazy Reddit stories.